Yeah, maybe before you guys introduce, I can just say one thing. So on behalf of U.S. Embassy, I am our Public Affairs Officer. Thank you so much for joining us on such a hot day. Our plan, if it's okay, is to be very informal, right? To let you really talk, right? So pretend perhaps we are not from the government. No, this is very important.
Now that you said that, it's very easy to do it. Okay.
Because we are really honored, too, to have your time, but really to let American artists speak for themselves. The U.S. government, as America, we really believe in the representation of the people, right? And we share this value of democracy with Romania. And so one of the things I want to be very clear about is my role, as Bella's role, and with our hosts, is that this is really an opportunity for the people of both places to connect. So I'm excited. I will listen and engage. I want to help. But I want to be very clear that one of the things I think that makes democracy so bright and brilliant is that we have individuals and we have opinions and we have artists that tell these stories. And so on behalf of the U.S. government, right, the point is to connect you and to let individual voices, right, speak for themselves. And so, collectively themselves, I suppose. But also to tell you that this is so important to us, and so just as a sense of scale, that we have a colleague, Lori, who's joined us from Washington, that the State Department has this wonderful program where we think arts are so important that in all of our embassies and consulates all over the world, we feature artists. And the De La Torre brothers are featured in our ambassador's residence. Has anyone been to the American ambassador's residence? No. So this is even better. It's a chance to bring the art to you. We'll find another time maybe to have you to the residence, but it's a way of really connecting people. So with that, I do not plan to speak again. So unlike government events, but really to give you the floor, to let you introduce yourselves, and really to spend this time talking about whatever it is that you, as individuals, would like to talk about. Yes, is fair? Okay, now I'm going to quickly back up without breaking.
I'm Ana de la Torre, and I'm Alex de la Torre. Collectively, people know us as De La Torre brothers. And we are originally not from the United States. We were born in Guadalajara, Mexico, so we're citizens of both the US and Mexico. And I think that our work has a lot to do with that. Different identities and how the perceptions of identity. I think we realized early on that in Mexico there's misperceptions about Americans, and America has the same about Mexico. And it was not that our work is to be ambassadors of either, but in a way you are, by being an artist, you are talking about your experience. All art is self-referential in some way because you made it. And I think that, you also have to ask yourself how anybody relates to your personal experience. And that's a difficult thing for an artist, is to have that jump going from what is important to you that can be broadcast into a broader audience.
Yeah, I guess ultimately our career is such a long-term investment that I don't think it's that different in anywhere. We are in it for the long run, and right now we're enjoying a very long struggle to make a career.
Yeah, it's people always ask us, like, what's the best advice? And as you can see, we're a little bit older, and it's because we didn't stop. So longevity is kind of, if you don't give up, people start to pay attention and say, all right, you're still here, you're still doing things, and hopefully you're evolving, getting better. You should be. You would never see your career as what you've done, but see it as what you will make. It's a lot better to look at life that way anyway. In that the journey is really important part. And so for us, the way we operate is we have a place in San Diego, which is in California, United States. We cross the border with maybe some materials and go to our studio in Baja California, which is Mexico. We have more space. We live in the country. It's not unlike, in looking at least, we just spent a few days up in Transylvania. There's some scenery that looks very similar. It doesn't get as cold as it does in Transylvania.
Or as hot as it gets.
Yeah, well, exactly. Right now it's hot. And then we also take our work back to San Diego, and there we distribute. sent to museums or to galleries, and more of the market is in the United States, more for us than Mexico at this point.
People always ask us about collaborating because we've been collaborating over 30 years together, and I think it's a fair question because as an artist, how do you give up your personal voice for a collaborative project to develop? I think there's some very obvious advantages to that. I think the main one is ultimate responsibility doesn't rest on you, so it's kind of wonderful that the works themselves develop in an organic way sometimes for us.
Here we can blame each other if something goes wrong.
No blame today. But could you maybe introduce yourself too and your...
I'm recently collaborating with this gallery. I'm Andrea, by the way.
In my case, I'm Adelina Gavrilo. I did painting. I'm a visual artist, but I'm also graphic designer and illustrator because, you know, you have to have a job until you become a real artist. So I'm collaborating with this gallery like visual artists and also the part of graphic design.
My name is Alina Borica. I just graduated a bachelor degree in art in the University of Arts Graphics here in Bucharest. I like to do works not only I like to go a little bit in the sculpture zone, but from the object to the three-dimensional drawing. And that's me.
I'm a quality artist. I'm a physics and chemistry engineer. I'm doing metal sculpture, as my hands will show. I'm an artist. I love working with metal because it cannot break. And if you break it, you can weld it. So that's my preferred material. I have a deep respect for everybody who can work ceramics, glass, wood. I know how to use the wood to work my workshop. And besides the metalworking, I'm also a writer at a cultural magazine. Okay, so I'm filming to promote this event. And I use my art to tell stories that we all know, we all see, but we sometimes don't want to recognize that ourselves. I'm rough as a metal that I use. I always try to get out there feelings that unite us, but because we don't speak about them, we don't know that we share the same feeling. We sometimes hide things that we feel, that we see, that we don't agree about, but we keep it in ourselves so we don't do something bad to someone around us. So we feel alone with what we see and what we feel. And that the objects I do, through them, I'm trying to unite people under the same umbrella of those feelings that we hide in ourselves. Even if that sometimes is not easy to accept. That's it.
I'm Danilo. I'm also a painter. I'm more a portrait painter. This is where I feel I'm more not comfortable but more challenged to work. Very keen of color. Very sensitive what color to use, even though it's seen as childish, but I really believe in the right color. And me and Adelina, we shared the same studio for 4 years. 12 years.
So maybe you collaborate too?
Yeah, we are sisters. Yeah, but we don't have the same style. We have different styles. We're in the same group at university, jobs, and then we combine the studios together. So now we are work and try to encourage ourselves and push ourselves.
So this is a way to continue in this domain.
Yeah.
Together we can reach 60 years of work.
They go.
Yeah, because we both have jobs, and beside job, you have to have like energy to work, to go back in the studio and to push yourself. So we kind of push together each other to go more and to be more involved in the field. And I think this like duo for artists is doing very well in this time when everyone is kind of asking from the artist to produce, to sell, and this is how it's seen. If you are selling, you are as like an artist, like a real artist, and it's, even you are not selling a lot, it's not worth working. But when you are like a group of artists, this is very empowering and it's very good for community, I think.
Yeah, so it's a struggle to keep a space, to be able to be productive. I mean, I think that's probably the first thing that people give up on, because when you have to pay for a space, you have to pay a rent.
Yeah, we did this sacrifice. We said that we will not work at home, we will not take a studio, and we will have like a separate space to focus on that, even if we have like 4 hours after work. But it was like a clear thing we have to check.
Yeah, it's to rent a month, you know, house and the studio. But yes, it's the best way to keep going. Not to a lot of artists, they just, how to say, get discouraged and let aside art for the time when they will have, like, I don't know, the money and the time, but it's not working.
The comfort.
Yes, it's if you get like you left like for like I don't know, let's say a year, the art, you are just way back, and your style, your path, it's you just have to keep going whatever.
Yes, and our strategy, it was to have jobs, to go in the studio, to work, and to have the freedom to produce what we want from the heart, for real. Like, I have the freedom, I don't depend on a gallery, no one. I really have few hours to do real creative work for myself during my lifetime.
It also helps to have another voice, because I think artists very often we can get into our own heads and our own experience, and you need somebody else, you need input. I like to say that we artists limit their work to learn about what they made.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you already know the information in here, you know, and that's not necessarily what people see, because they don't have your experience in making it, of course. So in a strange way, having a studio partner, which of course is in a way what we do, is having somebody else give you that. And it's part of the community, and as a collective also you have that. You rely on each other's voices to supplement, and to actually sometimes you wonder whether you should continue, and it's you need other people to kind of hold you up, you know, and I think that that's a wise strategy.
I don't have a studio partner. I have my own workshop. I pay rent for it, a lot of rent. And doing metalworking, also the materials and the electricity is very expensive. So I have the advantage that doing metalworking, I sometimes do fences, doors, bars for windows, etc. I don't have the time to have a job because of that, but the thing that pushes me is the thirst to make it. You can do it by having someone to push you, to hold you when you're down, or you can do it out of, let's say, desperation. You want to make it. You want to get to that place where you're free and you can create your own art. And it's exercise. Doing fences, in some way, it's also exercise in your craft.
Yeah. I think we all we purchase our freedom in a way. So for definition, it could be that you're going to have a studio separate from home, and that's your way to make these definitions or distinctions as to where you want to place things in the way that. And there's Another example is, for instance, a professor that's an artist also, has to be part of an institution and have all of this complicated academic kind of, that takes a long time. They have maybe a little more economic security, but the time for making art becomes very limited. We've seen a lot of professors that are kind of, and you gotta be careful because we see a lot of teachers become a little bitter because they do not push their own art. And you don't want to end up later in life thinking, I wish I had made my art. But there's some teachers that manage to both. But it's tough because full-time education is it should be, if it's a full-time job. It's so everybody's playing the balance, right?
It's also, it's like when you try to do art, it's something like when you say it sticks with you like an obsession, and you cannot chill until you just go through
Interact with the camera.
Yes, and just make it and afterwards, yeah.
You have to cure yourself.
That's
How does the state support art in USA? Does artists have governmental support? Do they find galleries where they can exhibit for free? Little itsy bitsy tiny things that help artists.
Well, yeah, we're here, which is part of the program in the States. It's very different. I think probably, as far as I understand, probably France is the best at supporting artists, in that they have a program for regional, they have a program for national, and a program for international, and they spend a lot of money in it. The United States has of course, art and embassies, but there's also National Endowment for the Arts.
Yeah, that's an example.
Not as big as it should be, honestly, for the size and the economy that it is. I can say that critically as an artist, but I think that anytime that you have government sponsorship of art, it's a mixed thing, because you're either in with that system, and if you don't fit in, you're really not in. And that could be the bad side of government. On the other side, you need funding from somewhere, and is the place that you are interested enough in the arts to have to sustain artists? And that's always a difficult balance, because you want to be in a place that supports what you do, but the economy of different countries varies greatly. I think the US has a very, very robust collecting situation, meaning that there is a lot of people that have the money to buy and collect art. So for us, we're lucky. We have a market for the work, and it took a long time to establish it. But that's because we're doing something a little different than most, and I think that art, like when you're not comparable, then you have to make your own path. If you make something very different, then it's tougher. But in the long run, it's going to be very singular and very much about you, as opposed to being part of a comparable, impressionists or whatever, as a school of art might suggest. So it varies. I think that there's mixed blessings. There's good things and bad things to more government engagement or more private. The U.S. system, I think, has a lot of. I feel it's pretty robust buying artwork, like the middle upper class buys art.
Yeah, and maybe you can talk a little bit about perhaps we don't have a Ministry of Culture, right, in the United States. Maybe some of your collaborations with, I don't know, the airport or with a museum, right. Or I think to describe the way the U.S. has local, state, or even community collectors or museums is very different from Romania with the state kind of central system.
Right.
Could you give some examples in that way? I mean, of course, you're in the Smithsonian as well, but maybe some of these examples, because it may be.
A good example is our participation in public art.
Yeah, that'd be a great example. Yes.
It has helped us make a living over the last 25 years, isn't it, now that we started doing public art projects, which are larger projects that usually a city pays for, it's permanent installations, outdoors, indoors, in buildings, and they represent income that we've never had jobs, really, never have had full-time jobs in our lives. So when public art, when you win a public art project, you can count on that money coming in, which means a lot.
But for the city or local government,
Or
right?
for the state or an airport, for instance. But they're very complicated to get into, to jump into, because it's an industry that requires you to have experience for the good projects. It's like, how do you get experience if you can't get the job to begin with? So we got lucky to get our first project, but that has meant stable income, because art sales for us, where we are at, are still sporadic. We have some really good months and some months with nothing. So
I believe that's the reality for any artist, wherever on the earth.
When you're showing in the gallery, you have more sales because people are seeing it. The moment the show is over, you're in the back gallery, and they bring out the work only for a client event. So it's very different than having the. And so in that commercial gallery, you usually are cycled through 2 to 3 years.
There's actually a similar situation since we are an association at our base and from where the gallery stands out. But we do have a problem with funding for projects, and again, a lot of documentation that you have to go through, and a lot of blockages from the government. So yeah, it's hard on that part with the project as well.
Even as the manager, as the gallery.
Yeah, I'm not the actual manager,
Yeah, but
yeah,
from the gallery
the
perspective.
team, yeah.
So in a public art project, you don't have a lot of freedom. There's a lot of restrictions to what you can do and put out there. Whatever you can get away with is wonderful. And you always try to get away with something.
Yes, you can't, religion, sex, all the good stuff, you can't touch it. Yeah. Which of course, as an artist, that's when they tell you can't do it, you want to do it even more.
So yeah, we artists want to be as free as it is possible, so you balance things out to do these sort of projects that give you a lot of freedom to be very free as an artist, or if you have a production of a limited edition, finances your freedom to be as free as possible. That's what it's about. To have that complete freedom for self-expression.
When you have like this kind of projects and you have this, even the schedule or the budget or the terms or whatever, at times for myself, I find myself if when you have this a lot of stuff to check, and as an artist you feel like you are not free to work, but all these terms, sometimes it can get you all very low budget, even amazing art piece, because you get from your comfort zone and you can manage to do something that you're not used to. I'm not saying about this commercially, but usually you can get something very different, something very interesting. Yes, with low budget, a lot of.
Because it's creative.
Yes,
That's where
Yeah, this is all about the weight.
I think limitations are where creativity comes from.
yeah.
So the other limitations, whether they are monetary, whether they are materials, or even size. When we were starting out, thank you so much. When we were starting out, I remember we used to make work that fit into our car. Bigger work I can't make because how would I get it?
How can I transport it from place A
Or deposit it.
or deposit it?
And it's hard to jump from that to. I remember the first project we had that they were telling us, well, you've got this space, and we're thinking, okay, everything has to be in my car, take it out, put it together. No, we'll get you a truck.
Like, is that simple?
Exactly. But these are the steps, that you sort of. It's really fascinating to sort of see that as such a big jump now, because for a long time when we were doing first museum shows, we were doing low budget ones, so then when they would rent the truck, we would drive it to the museum and back, normal, but luckily we don't do that anymore. But so in public art right now we have a project with Seattle Airport, SeaTac Airport. That as an entity is part of the Port Authority, so everyone is a different agency, if you will. The airport is not the same as the city. The city of Seattle is an agency. Just like the county, maybe Skagit, I want to say, what the county for Seattle is, they might have a different system altogether than the city. and the state might have something. So everyone could be kind of government, kind of not. Sometimes it's joint, meaning get together. The reason that the airports make a lot of money out of the travel. There's taxes in every airport, and they have a lot of money for that. So the good ones have good public art programs, and the bad ones are obvious. There's a lot of different ways to access this. I know my friends that we have in Europe say that is in different parts also are going to be everyone's going to be very different in terms of the way they operate. So some might ask you to submit your qualifications, which just means your resume, what you've made. And then they'll maybe choose 10 people or collectives, and you do a presentation, and then they finally choose the winner for that. But again, there might be 5, 3. Some might pay you for the second presentation, because the first one might be an interview, or they might do it without an interview, just looking at your slides or your images. So again, every process could be very different.
When you do these public projects, like for the airport, you create the real size object, or you do the prototype?
Usually we're in charge of everything. Some cities like San Diego are starting to require the artist to make it, but the city installs it, so that they have control over the actual placing of the artwork. Again, that will vary greatly. We're doing a project in Sacramento, California that is a very big rocket, and we will have to hire somebody with a big crane to drop it into place and all of that.
We did a sculpture in Riverside where we made the model about this big out of modeling clay, plastilina, and then we had a digital document made, and then the metal caster reproduced it in rods. 2.5 meters high.
So it depends. Sometimes you do the entire project, sometimes you just do the model.
Yeah, right now where we are too much hands-on with the public art projects. It really drives us crazy because we do everything.
Administration.
And we want
Wait,
to
you
back
don't
up
like bureaucracy? I don't understand.
You need a structurist to give you the okay you need an engineer to give you the okay.
Yeah. The other side of the coin with public art is that you're putting artwork in people's lives, whereas most people don't go to museums or art galleries. That's a reality of our work, which is kind of sad because we all work so hard and we want it to be to belong to everybody. And in public art, it's out there. It's in their everyday life. So that's kind of a big plus in commission work.
And in the regular gallery art world, you see all of your friends.
Yeah. Not all of them, because they don't always come, all of them.
But it's not like a lot of people don't go to the art openings, unfortunately, and we need to demystify art and artists so that they realize that it's for everybody. It should be, I think, democratization of art in the sense that anybody should have an opinion and it should be accessible. But we're old school in that sense.
What should we know about arts and the art culture? This is our first day with our colleagues in Romania, and you are the first folks we are meeting with. What should, as we travel this week and meet with others, what should we know about the current art world? And I'm keeping this question very broad on purpose. What would you tell us? You know, we're talking a lot about the United States, but I think part of this is that our colleagues, we get to learn from you too. What do you guys think? What should we know about Romania, the scene here?
I think for artists here, they need to get a lot out of the studio. So we have to go and reach out organizations, and we have to get involved in like social projects, like I don't know, art classes for kids or something like that, or some mixed up. And a lot of residencies, you go go there, and beside that, to get in touch with the community. So it's most of our fellow colleagues do that. So it's nice, it's interesting, it's very interesting, it's challenging, and it's very exhausting. So I think you'll see that, like, you have job, you have project, you have studio, you have life. You got time for that also. And yeah, now it's started to get like little by little to get art is getting out from the galleries, you go to the public, you have projects outside, you know?
Yeah.
It's little by little, but it's very slow.
I think the problem now, especially because we have like Bucharest Art World and we have like Cluj, it's a bit different, but the feeling is we are struggling, we are working, we are continuing, but we are living like in a bucket. So usually when there are exhibitions, we are like the same people, or it's like we have to break the chain, and for that we need to go more out. We need more international collaboration and commitment, because it's very nice, it's very beautiful, but how you said, it's not enough me and Nadia to stay in the studio and yeah. So it's the same thing, especially with Bucharest art world.
And
that's everywhere. You need to get out as soon as you can, because you're all of these things, of course, pressures and paying rent and all of that. But always, your career is gonna take off sooner the more you get out. Because then you can say I showed there, and you know what that scene is like, and you talk to saw those, all of that just broadens not only your own personal perspective, but the way that your work is viewed as part of a bigger community, as opposed to the last.
Yes.
As an engineer in the art world, I have a minus that I feel the need to say about Romania. We have an artist union in Romania, an association for artists. The problem with that is that you have to have an art school to be part of it. So if you didn't have an art school, you won't be able to get in, you won't be able to exhibit in the spaces. So as an engineer being an artist, it's a little bit harder, because you need to pay 99% of your exhibitions. You need to find spaces where you can exhibit. So you start with pubs, with bars, with restaurants, and that kind of gives you a bad image as an artist, because you don't start with a gallery, you don't start with an art festival. So we have this minus in Romania. As an artist in your soul, without a school, you have to struggle a lot more. So I think one thing we should do in the future is unite the schooled artists with the rest of us, and do some joint events, because I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, but me not having a school in art, I've been told by people, by visitors a lot of times, that my art is easier for them to understand. I'm not very technical, I don't know the techniques you learn in school, so I do it by heart, by how I feel it. So maybe I'm the door through art, so art can be exhibited and presented. I'm easier to be understood by the majority that doesn't have a taste in art, doesn't have a school in art, doesn't have an education. So I'm easy for them. So they can start to feel art through me and go to them, that they are technical, they have the school, they're way up there. So this is something I see for Romania. We should unite in promoting art.
You need a counter club. So obviously it's art school.
Entry-level artist.
Art school doesn't make you an artist. Obviously it's not that simple either. So
No, Romania has a passion for papers.
No, the thing is like the art union is with artists that are like, I don't know, older to say like that. So they have like the old school mindset. Of course, it's not a must to do art school. You have the internet, you can become greater. And you need the talent, of course, and the work, and that's it. It's not work. You don't need a diploma for that.
And it's your job as a young artist to rebel against anything that tells you how things should be.
Yes, but for example, I did my course for in art from high school until master, and I'm not in the union of artists. I never thought about.
Because you don't want to be?
You will try, okay.
I don't know, there are like people, they will have a plus when they will receive the pension. So there are like some little things like advantage, but very little.
Yeah.
And for me, like young artists, it's like nothing. I only pay a small tax, and that's it. And those old artists and teachers say, come in our union because we will have this pension. We need your money, but no advantage. Like,
They do have a lot of places and galleries where they do exhibitions and.
but yeah, it's communal art and they're like, they're not galleries.
Yeah, nobody go there to see really the artist and to buy art from there. It's an exhibition where nobody.
Yeah, but you know, so speaking about papers, if you have on your portfolio a lot of exhibitions in this place, your price as an artist goes up. So you do it not to sell it. No, you do it just to have it on that list.
In my case, I don't feel I need the union.
No.
I need other things like bigger and more professional,
Yeah,
to say like
professionals,
that.
that's the
Yeah.
word.
This.
They are not
make
really
your own union?
professionals.
Yes, of course.
Like a healthcare.
Yes, I'm starting today.
I know. It's okay.
But I would love to start this if Romania will start to give more money for the culture. In this moment, with they say the budget needs to be cut from there, from that. Now
Yeah,
it's not
of course.
the best period, but when I feel it's the period like we have more budget to take from the culture, then it's a good moment to make
Cultural education is the lowest
Yes.
investment in
Yes, it's very
In most countries.
Yes, but this is a big problem because we are like hungry to make culture and art, and it's very frustrating. Of course.
people need art. Otherwise, if the government doesn't encourage the budget and the mentality to view the art, art is creating by herself. I don't know, people taste it, and the risk is that it's creating bad quality of art. I don't know how to say it. In music, I don't know.
In my case, I think we are preparing for good times. So I like preparing, and when the good time will come, we will be ready.
Optimistic.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's crisis like all the time. Like everyone's like, oh, it's bad. Then you are starting like not to hear it and just go through with your work and hope for the best. I think this is how.
It's always a crisis, it's true.
Yeah.
And always arts is the bottom, you know, the arts and culture are the first to get cut. And almost everywhere, I mean, that's pretty common.
True.
Even like at university in Bucharest, only in Bucharest, for example, in painting, yeah, we have each year from 20 to 40 students going out to any school, and from those amount of people that very few just go through in life doing art. Some of them go into commercial art, some of them are doing their art, but most of them just, I don't know, lose it in jobs and wishful thinking, and because we had colleagues that are
Yes.
very bright and
We
just
have like
got so disappointed that at some point they just shut it out. and-
We've been like a high level studio. We were like very good, and only two of us, like me and Nadia, remain. Like,
because we are wishing.
yes.
Well, in the US, people with art degrees, able to eventually make a living as artists is
3%? Yeah, it's really low. It's 3%.
Yes.
It's pretty common.
So it's not like very bright situation also.
Well, it's you have to be very stubborn, very stubborn is the word. You really need to every day and be optimistic and stuff.
Yes.
It's tough.
Good cocktail.
Yeah. I mean, if you tell most people that that's what you want to do, they might ask why, and then you have to answer that. But you probably have a good answer.
I
That's
have
that's why you're here.
Good answer, I don't think it's a good answer for like the one that people that are not in art business, like art field, it's very hard for them to understand why you are doing this if you are not getting your paycheck after. Why you invest time, why you invest money, you invest your health, your everything, and you get nothing. Because you can have like time, you just work, because it starts like maybe a couple of years, maybe even 10 years, you just get to fill up your resume for a lot of activities, and and you build very, very slowly, and from a side, it doesn't look so good. And everyone is like asking why you're doing this.
As a practical business, it's terrible. But I think, we don't do it that way. It's a lifestyle. So we don't necessarily, when are you not working? I mean, we're always thinking about what we could be doing. So it's really a life choice. You're not working, like I said, as a business is a terrible business, but
That is my curiosity. How come like two brothers, they were both interested in art?
no, I have two other brothers that are also artists.
Oh yeah, like four?
Yeah. But then
This is more understandable.
we couldn't work with them. Like we're the youngest, the two older, they're
So from your family, you made two teams.
in a way, but they didn't stay team. They couldn't. I think that the hard thing to explain to people that aren't artists is that you're investing in you becoming the better artist that you can become. And that investment is not at all obvious because you can see that in your work as it's evolving. But how you can say that evolution is going to lead you to be the artist that you need to be is not something you can explain.
Yeah, that's right. The thing. We cannot find the right answer for people. Why? You just have to keep going, no matter the pay or no matter the.
And if you make it, you become immortal through your art that lives way
When
longer.
I feel like I want to get to be known in afterwards, it's awkward reaction after.
It's strange because you have to, on the one hand, you want recognition, but with artists, to say I want to be famous, it's like, well, wait a minute.
You have to die first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a really kind of a stupid thing to want is to be famous because then you're like a movie star, or what do you want to be a rock star?
I don't think that it's like you want to be a movie star, that you want to be recognized. You want more people to feel your work.
I think
relate to the work.
Absolutely.
I think that's the thing. You don't want to be a superstar or a rock star or the thing like that. You want to be recognized and felt.
I think if you are more famous, you have more money to produce. I think.
You can be creative, but I don't think that art should like be about how much money you have to put in it. The art itself should be about how much money do I have to put in the painting, the canvas,
The other things.
So
If you want to make an exhibition in a different country, if you need the cars, if you need the comfort, if you need to pay the rent, you need money for this. So it's like you need the money to produce.
yeah.